Good morning, and thank you for being here today. Today's webinar, as presented by the Nevada Department of Agriculture, is on direct certification and CEP, a brief overview. This is Rose Walterbeek with the Nevada Department of Agriculture, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, thank you again for attending today's session. This session is being recorded, and it will be turned off when we reach the question and answer portion. The webinar will be available to you for future use on our YouTube and SlideShare accounts. For your convenience, the link will be sent out after this webinar. Let's go ahead and get started. So the goal of today's webinar is to provide all of you a brief overview about direct certification matching basics, the school year 2016-17 reporting requirements, community eligibility provision, and a brief overview on the ISP determination. We'll do some resource sharing. And today's professional standard learning codes are in the 3000 area for administration and 3120 for direct certification. So direct certification, there's some matching basics that we're going to go over today. So what the definition is children living in households that participate in certain programs are automatically eligible for free meals. So direct certification means they're directly certified for a free meal, and what that means to you is no paper application is needed. So SNAP, TANF, and FDPIR are currently eligible for the program. Medicaid is not currently an eligible program for DC matching at this time in the state of Nevada. So in Nevada, the direct certification, or DC list, is created by the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services. So this list is separated by zip code, then all the zip codes in that specific county are condensed into one list. So we're going to talk about that in a few slides here. So some counties have very large lists, and so that may result in some households being in a neighboring district list because not all zip codes mirror county lines. So the lists of participating households are posted on our NDA Mustang site, and we have provided the URL right here for you. And this is a screenshot of what you'll see on a login. So to get started into Mustang, you must first have a login name. So you would enter your username and your login. If you have issues with that, please feel free to call Shauna Sabo in our office, and I've included her email here for you. And again, this is the screenshot that you're going to see when you're logging into the Mustang program. So then once you get logged in, you're going to see a folder with your district's name on it. So this screenshot shows everyone in the state of Nevada. Then you're going to click on your folder, and you're going to see several files. And we're going to go over this, and we're also going to be sending you out the Mustang instructions after the webinar. So what you might see in your specific folder is ANNL data. So that's abbreviated for annual data. And that's the file that contains the list that was used at the start of the school year. So the full data is the file that contains the names added in the monthly updates in addition to the names on the annual data list. So the UPDT data, or an update data, are the names that are added to the list for that month only. So once you get into the file and get the instructions, you'll probably have a more clear understanding of what these lists entail. So the Mustang instructions, the steps are captured in the Mustang system itself. Also included in that is instructions on how to convert the file to an Excel format. So this is going to be helpful for you once you start downloading these. Some of these files are very large. So the main thing for the purpose of this webinar is to just let you know that there are program codes in Mustang. And they are as follows. If you see an F or an FB on the list, that stands for a SNAP family. If you see an A or a TANF, that's going to be a TANF direct certification. And this information is going to be important to you later for reporting requirements. And like I said, we're going to be sending out this information to you after the webinar. For those of you who are familiar with the Mustang system, this really is just a refresher. So a little bit more about Mustang. Confidentiality is critical. There's sensitive information that you're going to be having access to on this list. And we just want a brief reminder to you that please only store this in a secure location. And as most of you may know, please don't send it via email. It may not be secure. So when you start to look at that, how close of a match are you looking for? Well, according to USDA, it must match on at least 3 data elements. So when you get your list, some areas of a 3 data element match would be the child's name, the parent name, and the date of birth of the child. Could be the child's name, the household address, and the date of birth of the child. Could also be the child's name, the date of birth, and the last 4 digits of a Social Security number. So the Social Security number is included, but please keep in mind that it's the head of household Social Security number, and it may not necessarily match the child's Social Security number. So the matching basics for direct certification are as follows. 1, it must be done at the start of the school year. And for those of you who haven't completed this yet, as the school year has started for some, please do so as soon as possible and reach out to us at the Nevada Department of Agriculture if this is your first time. It must be done at least 3 times per year. And again, keep in mind that this reduces that application burden both on the family members receiving assistance in your National School Lunch Program, but also on you and your staff as well for processing all these paper applications that are starting to come into your school sites. Another critical area on this direct certification match is this is going to be the determinant for your CEP eligibility. So CEP stands for the Community Eligibility Provision, and we're going to talk about that in the latter half of this webinar. So please keep in mind that if you do have matches on the direct certification match, this gets extended to all other members of the household. So you may find this information in applications submitted, which does include other household members, but you can also use your school records to determine these other household members. For example, if you have a family matching program in your own program or in the Infinite Campus, then you can extend this direct certification to all other family members of the household. So again, you're reducing the paperwork for the families to fill out an application because they've already been matched from a reliable source, and you're also reducing that time in-house that you're spending processing paper applications. So it's a win for all involved. So the next step is, how do I filter through a huge list? So for today's webinar, we're just going to go over a few basic information systems that you can use in Excel. So consider utilizing a custom sort and a filter in the Excel program. So you also may want to reach out to your technology to see if they have, anybody on staff there has access to filtering in Excel. And again, just keep in mind that you want to utilize the most confidentiality that you can with this file. So if you take a look where the big red arrow is, that's the sort and filter in Excel. So you would have your list here, and again, these are fictitious names for the webinar. You would click on that sort and filter program, that option. You could select a column, and in this case, we've selected zip codes for your enrollment because most of you are going to be very familiar with the zip codes in your school district area. And you could utilize that sort to resort this very large list. And you can also utilize another custom sort. So again, where this red arrow is, you would select sort on the toolbar, and you could select the column to sort by. So in our example here, we had information on the child's date of birth. So you could do a resort of the same list and allow you to sort alphabetically by the child's last name. You could do it numerically by date of birth, etc., depending on how you were going to filter this information with your 3 data points. So those are just some examples on how you can start to filter down some of these very large lists that you're downloading in Mustang. So the next steps, after you have determined that there is a match between the child's name on the list and the child enrolled in your school district, you would inform those households who are matched. And the easiest way, especially for first-year sponsors, is to use the USDA template notification letter. And if you need another copy of that, we can send that out to you as well after the webinar, and notify them that they are a match and eligible for free meals. The best resource is the direct certification resource specifically found in the USDA Eligibility Manual for School Meals. So this gets updated every year. It was just released July 29th. And all the information that you need is at your fingertips on direct certification is found on page 31. So if you need another copy of that or a direct link, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to send that to you. So upcoming is some annual reporting requirements. And for sponsors, new sponsors and returning sponsors, we do have verification reporting online. We do have a complete webinar, and here's the link to that. And these verification reports are due to us at the Nevada Department of Agriculture by February 1st. But early submission is highly suggested, so we can take a look at your data and make some suggestions to you if things are not looking correct. And our suggestion at this point is if you have not completed that form before, please review that information that you're going to be required to send to us prior to starting the verification on October 1st. So what is going to be asked of you is that you're going to have to report those DC SNAP and DC other matches. And again, on the Mustang DC list, A is the program TANF numbers, and all other entries are going to be that SNAP. So again, you're going to start to see that F and FB notation on your list. So this will make sense to you once you do your download in Mustang and pull down that verification form in CNP, so you can start to see what you're going to have to start collecting. Again, coming right up here on October 1st. So direct certification reporting per federal regulations, the Nevada Department of Agriculture is required to provide notification on districts with an identified student percentage, again an ISP, which is the percentage of direct certification matches of at least 40%, and also those that are between the 30% and 40% range. We term these as nearly eligible. And the school districts, which is you, are required to provide notification on your school level data that needs to be reported to us, reflecting an April 1st pull date, and that's going to be used to determine your eligibility and your participation in CEP the following school year. So we will be providing you more information on this in the spring, but we're going to just give you some brief snapshots right now for those of you who are doing it the first time or need that refresher course. So we are required to publish a report with the number of students that are directly certified for each school. So that's how the partnership works. So what do we do with this information? Well, we submit it on our website, and we also use the data to determine if you're eligible to participate in the community eligibility provision. And if you do elect to do so, we will be providing you those claiming percentages. So a little bit about CEP. There's a huge national interest and a lot of support and expansion of CEP. So this is not just a school district or a state initiative. We're looking at really nationwide hunger advocates, elected officials, and members of the public fully supporting the community eligibility provision. And when I show you the basic information on the next few slides, I think you're going to find out and kind of see why this has such an expansion and such an appeal, not only for families but also for school districts. So let's start with the basics. What is CEP? It stands for Community Eligibility Provision, and this provides an alternate to household application meal benefits. So the basics are this. Schools that are participating must serve a breakfast and lunch free to all students for a cycle up to 4 years. You must count the total lunches and total breakfasts served to students daily, and schools that are participating cannot collect household applications for free and reduced priced meals. So how does it work? The school districts or the participating school must have an identified student percentage. So again, that's that ISP acronym. So you have to be at least 40% as of April 1st of the school year prior to implement CEP. So one school can participate, a group of schools can participate, or an entire district can participate as a CEP site. So what does identified student percentage mean? So identified student percentage is defined as low-income children who are certified for school meals without the use of a household application. So that ties back into the start of our webinar on all of our direct certification matches. So students are based on documentation of benefit receipt or categorically eligibility as described in 7 CFR Part 245. So the example is they're directly certified, again with that SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, and categorically eligible. So that would be defined as migrant, youth, homeless, etc. We're going to be going over the list here in the next slide. So the source data that's acceptable list currently in the state of Nevada is as follows. Direct certification from SNAP, TANF, and FDPIR, Again, that's the list of students that we just went over on the Mustang site that you're able to match within your schools. Children enrolled in Head Start, Migrant Education Program, Runaway Youth and Homeless Act. Most of you in the schools are more familiar with the McKinney-Vento Assistance Act, homeless children, and foster children. At this time, there's not a list for Nevada foster children, so we'll keep you posted if that becomes available. Again, these are all certified through other state agencies. So let's talk a little bit about the identified student percentage. So this is the number of students directly certified divided by the number of enrolled students. So the definition of a total enrolled student would be defined as those students who are enrolled in and attending schools participating in the CEP who have access to at least one meal service daily. So for most of you, those are most of your students enrolled at your institutions. Students who do not have access to either breakfast or lunch due to the times they're attending school would not be included in the count of enrolled students. So an example of this would be students that are enrolled in that half-day kindergarten program. So they would not be counted as an enrolled students. So a little bit about the reporting. We send out a blank spreadsheet to all school districts which are pre-populated with your school district sites. So they were returned to us by April 10th of last year, and the deadline to adopt CEP for school year 16-17 based on the data you submitted to us by April 10th of last year was extended to August 31st. However, there still is flexibility to allow election any time of the year. So if you need a refresher on CEP, we do have a webinar posted on the YouTube channel. And again, here's the link. And so this is what you saw last April, or you can anticipate seeing this April on the spreadsheet. So in our example here, we have a spreadsheet for a school district already pre-populated by school code, by school name, and blank information for enrollment, direct certification SNAP, direct certification TANF, homeless and runaway, migrant, FDPIR, and we have some formulas built in for the calculation of the ISP. We also have a box on that J column to report the DC matches, including those paper applications as well. So this was data as of April 1st that you folks sent in to us. And how are we doing on that data collection? Well, to date, we have 9 districts and 119 schools participating in CEP for the upcoming school year. And this is up substantially from 3 districts and 13 school districts in the 2014-15 school year. So in the state of Nevada, we are trending up with the CEP. And overall, we've seen very positive financial outcomes for districts. But we've also seen more intangible outcomes. We've seen increased participation on all program levels for those school sites. We've also seen for 2016 some opportunities for some districts that have maybe fallen off the CEP eligibility. So sponsors have utilized school groupings to have them be eligible for CEP, even though they may be getting a lower reimbursement rate at the end of the day. They've seen other opportunities for programs such as the fresh fruit and vegetable, other grant fundings within their districts, less equipment they've had to purchase for the CEP site, and really truly an ease of operation at the site level for the counting and claiming and the collection of paper applications. So some resources for you would be, of course, on our Nevada Department of Agriculture website. CEP Resources, there is a USDA website strictly devoted to CEP with a lot of resources that gets updated on a regular basis. And here's what that looks like. And there is the website for that. And released last February was a planning and implementation guidance specifically for community eligibility. We sent that out as a numbered memo, but again, if you need another copy or for new sponsors, feel free to reach out to me and I can send this out to you as well. So at this point, that concludes our webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the text box or raise your hand and I can unmute you. If you have specific questions after today's webinar, please feel free to call Katrina Peters, the School Nutrition Services Manager, and her number and email is there, or myself. This is Rose Walterbeek, and there's my direct line and my email. And again, for the Professional Standard Learning Codes, we have just concluded training in the 3000 administration area, and 3120, a lot of information on direct certification. So at this point, I'm going to stop our recording and open the lines up for questions from anybody out there. So again, thank you so much for attending today, and we look forward to speaking with you.